This is News 8 Now, this morning.
I'm so grateful for you for the grace and kindness and compassion you've shown me. Frankly, tonight, this victory isn't really about me at all. It's about each of you.
I will work with anybody on the other side who's willing to put the betterment of the district, the state of Wisconsin, and the United States of America above their own personal political wants and needs.
People said, gee, you know, all those attack ads against you, maybe you need to respond in kind, and I said, I'm not going to do that. And I appreciate the fact that the voters liked that approach.
Those topics all revolve around law enforcement, right? How can we be a solution to a problem that sometimes we don't even know what it is? So this is an opportunity for me to continue to champion their rights.
You've heard them there, some of the projected winners from last night's election results here on News 8 Now. This morning, we're going to continue that election coverage. I'm Jordan Fremstad.
And I'm Derek Sibley.
Well, Derek, as many voters headed out to the polls yesterday, they really couldn't have asked for better weather for a November day.
Yeah, that's right, Jordan. You know, we did see a mix of sun and clouds out there, and then we saw the cloud cover move in. It was kind of like off and on. And we also saw warmer temperatures here as well, and a sign here of what's to come. We'll get to that in a second. But for now, though, we are tracking some scattered showers and a couple of thunderstorms here as well across our northern zones, and these showers and storms are moving their way towards the northeast. The rest of us, though, are just looking at mainly cloudy skies, and you can see most of those showers are well off to the north of us now as they continue in that northeasterly direction. Temperatures as you head out the door are mainly into the 50s. It's 54 in La Crosse, but 48 though to the north, as you can see in Eau Claire, 53 in Sparta, and 50 is the temperature now in Viroqua. And overall, that's about 10 to 20 degrees, if not a warmer difference compared to the last 24 hours, even 25 degrees warmer this morning in Boscobel. So you're definitely going to feel that as you head outside too. Day planner showing us that we're going to be looking at those mainly cloudy conditions continuing throughout the day. Our temperatures start warming up into the 60s as early as 11 o'clock, followed by the low 60s come later this afternoon. And by 3 o'clock, check this out, Jordan, we may be as warm as 67 degrees today.
And that sounds like a cold cold stretch is on the way too, so
yeah, we have to get ready for that here later this week.
All right, thanks a lot, Derek. Well, we begin our election coverage this morning in western Wisconsin. Wisconsin's 3rd congressional district is sending Republican Derek Van Orden to Washington. Van Orden lost this race 2 years ago to now outgoing Representative Ron Kind, but this time defeats Kind's endorsed candidate Brad Pfaff. In his acceptance, Van Orden vows to work across the aisle.
I will compromise. I will work with anybody on the other side who's willing to put the betterment of the district, the state of Wisconsin, and the United States of America above their own personal political wants and needs. I will work with anyone for that purpose because that's how you govern. But I'm telling you right now, you look me straight in the eye. I will never capitulate. I will not give up the values that the people of the 3rd District of Wisconsin understand that I hold and share with them, and that's why they voted me into office.
Democratic candidate for the 3rd Congressional, Brad Pfaff, never showed up to the Democrats' watch party. Pfaff is holding a press conference this morning at 11. Outgoing Congressman Ron Kind, who had held that seat for 26 years but did not seek re-election this time, had endorsed Pfaff. Before that watch party concluded, Kind made sure to thank his fellow Democrats for all of their effort.
And Tony and I just want to, as I conclude, thank you all for your help and your support, and especially your friendship over these last 26 years as your representative in Congress.
Republican Senator Ron Johnson holds a narrow lead in the race for Wisconsin's Senate seat. Johnson is running for his 3rd term against Mandela Barnes, a Democrat hoping to make history as the state's first black senator. Johnson stopped short of declaring victory early this morning, telling his supporters he is confident there was no way for Barnes to win the race. A Barnes campaign spokeswoman did not concede and said they were committed to making sure every vote is counted. Wisconsin Republican GOP candidate Tim Michels conceded Wednesday morning to Democrat Governor Tony Evers. Michels conceded early Wednesday with 90% of the votes counted. Michels thanked everyone for their support throughout his campaign.
We campaigned in bars and bowling alleys and supper clubs, football games, everywhere, and the enthusiasm was just off the charts. But it wasn't our night tonight, and I thank everybody for all of your support.
Projected winner, Democrat Tony Evers, wins re-election as governor of Wisconsin. Democrat Attorney General Josh Kaul is the projected winner after Republican challenger Eric Toney conceded during a close race. He issued the following statement on Tuesday night's re-election victory, saying, "Earlier tonight I spoke with District Attorney Eric Toney, who offered his congratulations. I want to thank him for running a hard-fought race. I'm grateful that Wisconsinites have put their trust in me to serve as Attorney General for another 4 years, and I look forward to the work ahead of us as we continue to deliver results and work to build safer and stronger communities across the state." Now to the races for Wisconsin's State Assembly. Western Wisconsin's incumbents did very well. Incumbent Democrat Steve Doyle won re-election to the 94th District. Doyle defeated Republican challenger Ryan Hipsch with a little more than 51% of the vote. Doyle says he has relieved the voters of Western Wisconsin believe in positive campaigning.
People said, gee, you know, all those attack ads against you, maybe you need to respond in kind, and I said, I'm not going to do that. And I appreciate the fact that the voters liked that approach.
Hipsch was in good spirits last night, even after he called Doyle to concede. Hipsch says he is proud of the campaign he ran and his team. The 26-year-old says his campaign knocked on 25,000 doors and met plenty of great people.
Tomorrow we're going to take down a lot of signs. We're going to get some rest tonight. You know, I'm going to sleep well. We worked our tails off. We left it all on the field.
Hipsch says he'll do his best to continue helping improve the community he's known his whole life. Incumbent Democrat Jill Billings will continue to represent the 95th Assembly District. Billings defeated La Crosse City Councilman Chris Woodard with nearly 67% of the vote. Billings thanked the entire district for support and pointed to the UWL College Democrats' efforts to help first-time voters register.
We knew we needed students to come out in this election, and you did, and it made a difference. Thank you for making your voices heard, and keep voting.
Incumbent Republican Lauren Oldenburg defeated Democrat Jane Swigum to continue representing the 96th Assembly District. Oldenburg won with just over 58% of the vote. The Republican push to gain a veto-proof majority in Wisconsin's legislature appears doubtful. The GOP was hoping a big night would push them into a position to rewrite state law at will, even if Democratic Governor Tony Evers won a second term. Republicans needed to flip 5 seats in the Assembly and just 1 in the Senate to gain a 2/3 majority in each chamber, but unofficial returns showed Republicans trailing in the handful of key races they needed. Staving off the supermajorities was essential for Democrats. Now to the races for sheriff. The next sheriff of La Crosse County will be a Democrat. John Siegel won the race against Republican candidate Fritz Leinfelder. This is the first time in decades a Democrat will hold that position in La Crosse County. Siegel's wife and kids are people of color. He also has a son who has mental health needs. Siegel says he ran for sheriff to represent his family.
Those topics all revolve around law enforcement, right? How can we be a solution to a problem that sometimes we don't even know what it is? So this is an opportunity for me to continue to champion their rights.
The sheriff's race was one of the only races to have 0 attack ads. Siegel says it was important for him and Leinfelder to be respectful. Despite being a partisan race, Siegel says being sheriff is not a partisan job. Republican candidate for La Crosse County Sheriff Fritz Leinfelder spent election night surrounded by friends and supporters at the Freight House. During a speech to the crowd, he thanked everyone for their help on his campaign. He also talked about the community's reaction to his run.
It's really humbling because people would talk to me. It's like, your yard signs are everywhere. I said, the nice part about that is there's very few people that I actually had to go to and say, hey, can I put a yard sign in your yard? It was them reaching out, how do I get a yard sign? So that's a good feeling. That's an awesome feeling. So.
That was a tight race. Fritz lost by just over 250 votes. A Democrat also won election to the sheriff's office in Eau Claire. Eau Claire County voters have elected Dave Riewestall as sheriff in the race. That was reported and decided by fewer than 800 votes. Moving across the river over to Minnesota, incumbent Democrat Governor Tim Walz has been re-elected as governor of Minnesota. On Tuesday, Walz defeated Republican challenger and family physician Scott Jensen. Early Wednesday morning, Walz addressed a crowd on what this election means for the state of Minnesota.
Over the past few months, many of you have talked to neighbors, you've got out and you've done the work, and you've talked about what matters to us as Minnesotans. You talked about the idea that we use and say, one Minnesota. It means everyone is valued. Everyone matters.
This will be Walz's second term as Minnesota's governor. And in the race for Minnesota's first congressional district, which was a rematch of the summer special election to replace the late Jim Hagedorn, Representative Republican Brad Finstad once again beats Democrat and former Hormel CEO Jeff Ettinger. And we still have a lot of election results to get through here on News 8 Now this morning. Up next, public safety and school referendum results. News 8 Now is covering more than 80 races and referendums. You can also find those results on our website at news8000.com and our social media pages. We'll be right back right after this. It's 10 after the hour here on News 8 Now.
City Cam 8 showing us a pretty quiet start this morning. We're also tracking some scattered showers to the north, mainly across our north central zones. These are moving their way towards the northeast, and Eau Claire did see a little bit of rain here associated with those showers and storms that move through. But the rest of us, though, are looking quiet because, again, the main activity is concentrated well to the north of us here this morning. But we are looking mostly cloudy, though, as a whole. Temperatures are into the 50s as you head out the door. It's currently 54 in La Crosse, but much colder, though, in Eau Claire. You're currently reporting 48 degrees. Let's get check down your zone forecast today in La Crosse County. Much warmer. High temperatures this time well into the 60s. It'll be 65 today in Holmen. Highs reaching 66 in New Albin and 63 today in Caledonia. Highs reaching 64 though in Blair. 65 degrees in Sparta. 64 in Norwalk and 65 today in Black River Falls. It will be about 65 or 63 I should say actually in Eau Claire. 61 in Chippewa Falls and 64 today in Altoona. Your schoolcast this morning shows us that we're going to start off cloudy here at the bus stop at 54 degrees being the temperature. 61 and mostly cloudy for the lunch hour. And by dismissal, things will still look cloudy with temperatures around the 65 degree mark here this afternoon. Stay tuned for another check on the weather forecast still to come.
All right, thanks a lot, Derek. Well, we are tracking several school and municipal referendums this morning, and voters have rejected the nearly $195 million La Crosse Schools referendum. Now, with nearly 70% of voters voting against the district's plan to consolidate the city's two high schools into one building on La Crosse's far side. Now, that referendum has been controversial from the start, and critics believed closing Logan and Central would reduce opportunities for students and make commutes unreasonable. Now, later on this morning, Superintendent Aaron Engel is going to hold a press conference to discuss the results and what is next. We're going to have coverage of that coming up later on this afternoon. Voters over in the Onalaska School District approved two school referendums, and we're sorry we can't show you the results right now as we're having some technical difficulties, so just bear with us there. The capital referendum passed by 61% of the vote. It allows the district to spend $75 million on renovations at the district's aging middle and high schools. 57% of voters also passing the operational referendum, allowing the school district to exceed revenue limits over the next 5 academic years. Superintendent Todd Antony says the successful referendum will allow his district to keep providing students with important services and programs.
To have the support of the community to continue that operational referendum, to continue with our current level of programming and staffing is just humbling.
Voters in Bangor overwhelmingly approving a school referendum for $24 million. That money will go toward renovations at the elementary, middle, and high schools, as well as the old school gym. Bangor's board updated the tax impact on voters a few weeks ago, saying they'll actually pay less on their property taxes once that referendum is approved. Over in the school district of Holmen, residents approving a operational referendum for the school district. The district says the extra $650,000 a year will go toward future maintenance and technology needs. Voters also approved a facilities referendum for Holmen schools. The district can spend $74.5 million for additions, remodels, and deferred maintenance on schools. The village of Holmen overwhelmingly approving their municipal referendum. The tax levy will increase. That money will go toward hiring more fire EMS workers and police officers. Holmen officials have told us village growth has struggled and the budget to the limit, and with some shifts essentially working with skeleton crews. The village's police lieutenant says this result is a game changer for how they can serve the community moving forward.
Because we would have additional resources that are currently on shift versus now when that happens, we need to call in additional resources that are either on their days off or currently on their time off. And then that also eats into overtime costs as well.
Voters in the town of Holland also approved a public safety referendum. This one is tied to Holmen's because both municipalities are in the Holmen area fire district. Holland's levy increase will pay for additional full-time firefighters. Over in Eau Claire, residents approved a public safety referendum. A $1 million tax levy increase will go toward hiring 15 more public safety workers, including firefighters, police, and community service officers.
Well, this morning things are definitely looking cloudy here in La Crosse with current temperatures at 54 degrees and a south wind at around 13 miles an hour. Our river stage is currently at 5.36 feet and holding steady. If you're in Eau Claire, you're currently a little cooler at 48 degrees cloudy. We did see some wet roads here earlier thanks to some showers. East winds at around 3 miles an hour here. Temperatures in Winona are currently at 55. Sparta's at 53. Viroqua is currently at 50 degrees here now. And Black River Falls at 53 degrees. Overall, about a 10 to 20 degrees of a warmer difference this morning compared to what happened yesterday. And that's all really thanks to a south wind that continues to bump up our temperatures and increase those temperature values here as well through the day. Now we'll be at 61 degrees at noon today, followed by 63 and cloudy by 5. We may even see a couple of thunderstorms as we head into this evening as well. We'll get to that in a second. Now speaking of thunderstorms, that's exactly what's going on in some parts of the area across Dunn County now and just to the north here in Chippewa as well. We did see some thunderstorms as well as a couple of showers in Eau Claire. Looks like that's exiting and has now moved into portions of northern Clark County as we speak. But really the rest of us are just looking mainly cloudy as most of the activity is concentrated well to the north of us though. If we widen out the view, you can see what's happening. We have this pretty strong trough of low pressure towards the west. Out ahead of it we have the south wind, so that's helping to keep us warm here as well. On the backside though, we're looking at some colder conditions, and that's going to be moving through here later this week to really knock down our temperatures quite a bit. In fact, we're going to go from the upper 60s today and tomorrow down to the 30s starting Friday, continue into this weekend and also into early next week. It looks like it's going to remain pretty cold with those highs into the 30s. So those showers will exit here as we head into the late morning hours, and then the rest of the day today is going to really feature mainly cloudy weather conditions with only a slight chance of a shower or two. We'll see some scattered showers develop though more so towards the evening and also continue through the overnight hours. And as you can see, that activity really just is drifting towards the northeast associated with that storm motion, and we will be looking at a couple of showers here firing off once again tomorrow morning and then really continue into the afternoon. In fact, this is probably the greatest chance that we'll be looking at some of this activity mainly across our central and eastern zones, which by the way is possibly expected to turn severe. The Storm Prediction Center has issued this level 2 slight risk of severe weather, which means that scattered strong to severe thunderstorms are possible. And again, the main timing is the afternoon and evening for gusty winds, and the possibility does exist for some large hail as well associated with those storms. So keep it here to News 8 and we'll keep you updated here throughout the day tomorrow. An alert day has been issued for that. And then after that, we're looking mostly cloudy throughout the rest of this week after tomorrow with much colder temperatures as highs drop into the 30s. Don't forget, you can download the First Alert weather app on the Google Play or the Apple App Store. It's free, and you can take the 8-day forecast anywhere you go, plus much more. Stay tuned, though. We're back with much more news and weather still to come right here on News 8 Now this morning. But for now, we are taking a quick break with a look what happened on this day in history. We'll be right back. We are looking at some scattered showers and even a few thunderstorms across our northern zones this morning. But this, again, really affecting the northern zones. The rest of us are just looking mainly cloudy. This activity is moving towards the northeast. Temperatures across much of the area are into the 50s. It's 53 in Sparta, 50 in Volkfield. It's 48 degrees in Eau Claire. And temperatures in Viroqua are currently at 50. Boscobel, you're pretty warm too at 55 degrees. Dog walking conditions this morning are pretty cloudy for most of us. Now, you may even run into a couple of isolated stray showers or a rumble of thunder, again, mainly to the north. But for the most of us, we will stay mostly cloudy here this afternoon. And then this evening, things remain on the cloudy side here as well, with temperatures pretty mild. Stay tuned. I'll be back with a check on the commute forecast in just a bit.
Welcome to the Blitz. It was the game of the week to start the Wisconsin high school football season, and now 12 weeks later, both squads going back at it again, but this time the stakes couldn't be any higher. Onalaska and West Salem kicked off the 2022 season back in August. The Hilltoppers surviving a thriller over the Panthers, 14-13 the final on that one. And for Onalaska, it was the start of something special. The Hilltoppers went on to win their next 11 games, and they come into Level 4 a perfect 12-0 on the year. It's their first Level 4 appearance in school history, and a win on Friday night would send them to their first state title game. As for the Panthers, that loss on opening night to Onalaska was their only loss of the season. The Panthers have won 11 straight since that night, including a massive win over Aquinas in Week 9 to capture the Cooley Conference Championship. And now the Panthers are looking for redemption, and a win over Onalaska in Level 4 would send West Salem to Camp Randall for the Division III state title game. So lots on the line come Friday night. Panthers and Hilltoppers clashing at Logan High School, a neutral site for Level 4. Let's take a look at the rest of our schedule on Friday. We're jam-packed. Aquinas with a chance to punch its ticket to the Division V state title game. Blue Goats taking on Kewanee. That game is in Wisconsin Rapids. Also in Division V, Prairie du Chien clashes with Mayville. That game will be played in McFarland. And in Division 7, Cashton will look to keep its perfect season alive. Eagles will need to get through Shiocton first. That game being played in Marshfield. And Bangor's bounced back nicely since that Week 6 loss against Cashton. Cardinals have been perfect since then. They'll need to be perfect again on Friday night against top seed Regis. That one being played in Arcadia. That'll do it for the Blitz. We'll see you tonight.
Welcome back. Cautiously optimistic. It is a phrase that has been thrown around by Democrats and Republicans as returns continue to pour in from yesterday's midterm elections. Skylar Henry is on Capitol Hill this morning with a look at the winners and the key issues that drove voters to the polls.
Inflation and abortion were the two biggest issues on voters' minds yesterday, according to CBS News exit polls.
Prices are horrendous. Abortion is health care, and it's very important.
CBS News characterizes the battle for the House as leaning Republican. The Senate is still a toss-up, with several incumbents pulling off projected victories, including Florida Republican Marco Rubio.
I believe we are on the cusp of a new generation of leadership in this Republican Party.
And New Hampshire Democrat Maggie Hassan.
Thank you for the trust that you have once again placed in me.
In Pennsylvania, Democrat John Fetterman is projected to beat GOP candidate Mehmet Oz, flipping the red Senate seat blue.
We bet on the people of Pennsylvania, and you didn't let us down.
CBS News has called Ohio's Senate race for Republican J.D. Vance, while Georgia's Senate candidates are urging patience as the vote count continues.
If you can hang in there a little bit longer.
Georgia is showing up in such an amazing way.
Historically, the party in power loses congressional seats in a midterm election. This year, some top Republicans are already conceding that a predicted red wave didn't materialize despite their party's gains in key House races.
The numbers have been amazing so far.
Former President Trump closely watched returns from Florida as he considers a 2024 presidential run. Meanwhile, the White House released this photo of President Biden as he called winners from his party. Skylar Henry, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
These midterms are slated to be the most expensive ever. The 2022 elections are on track to cost, get this, $16.7 billion at the state and federal level, according to nonpartisan Open Secrets. Well, back here in Wisconsin, law enforcement arrested a man at a polling place outside of Milwaukee for threatening election workers with a knife. The 38-year-old demanded staff stop the voting. Police quickly took the man into custody. No one was injured, but voting was paused for roughly half an hour while police investigated and cleared the scene. A man in Winona County is alive today thanks to the quick thinking of a driver. First responders say Tuesday morning a man fell out of his kayak and was struggling to get back in. What you're seeing is that video of first responders who rescued him. The Winona County Sheriff says rescuers got to the man just in time thanks to that driver who saw something splashing in the water and did the right thing by calling 911.
I went up to Dresbach, turned around, came back, got my binoculars out, and there wasn't anybody in the kayak, but it seemed to be holding on to the edge.
That man was Hunter Young, and the sheriff did not release the kayaker's name or condition. You can stay with News 8 now for an update when we have that information. More American households have pets than children, and veterinarians are working harder than ever to keep up with growing demand. Michael George takes a look at the nationwide shortage.
Dr. Jackie Cuskar is happy with her current job. She performs spay-neuter surgeries at the Animal Protective Foundation in upstate New York and treats animals at its shelter.
The fact that I can feel like I'm truly helping animals every single day, it makes me really happy.
She left general veterinary practice in 2019, feeling overworked and overwhelmed, trying to squeeze in as many patients as possible.
I was very burned out at that point. I really needed to get away from that environment.
An American Veterinary Medical Association survey from 2021 showed 44% of veterinarians have at some point considered leaving the profession, and about 26% indicated they want to work fewer hours, citing work-life balance, stress, anxiety, and burnout. This comes as the need for veterinarians is rising. A report says by 2030, the U.S. will need nearly 41,000 additional vets to care for America's pets.
We need to figure out a way to make it more sustainable.
Here at Long Island University, they're expanding the veterinary school to train more vets to meet the growing demand.
Now pull with even tension.
The College of Veterinary Medicine opened during the pandemic and will graduate its first class in 2024. Dr. Carmen Fuente-Alba is the dean. Because we have this shortage now, are there a lot of job opportunities for your students?
Absolutely, many jobs opportunities. Many of the students are already having conversations.
Students say they're being prepared for the rigors of the profession, and the shortage gives leverage.
To show that what we're learning and the degrees that we have are actually worth what we should be compensated and how we should be treated in the industry.
Some corporate practices recently started offering signing bonuses as high as $100,000 to attract vets to the job.
Earlier this year, 24 leaders called on the AVMA to support an increase in veterinary college class sizes and additional programs to help alleviate what they call an acute and growing workforce crisis. On any given night, about 41,000 young Americans experience homelessness. A local organization is bringing attention to the issue in La Crosse. La Crosse's Runaway and Homeless Youth Mediation and Emergency Services, also known as RIMES, helps local youth and young adults with a number of free services. In partnership with organizations like Seven Rivers LGBTQ Connection and the YWCA, RIMES provides services like a 24-hour crisis line, advocacy, and community engagement.
When we have young people who are homeless, that's a tragedy, and that's something that we need to address as a community, together as a community. And RIMES is certainly part of that solution, and really helping find a place and a way to get young people connected to shelter, which is absolutely essential.
Now, Tuesday morning, we were there when Mayor Mitch Reynolds officially declared November as Runaway Prevention Month in La Crosse. Being an adult is challenging. Being a parent is even harder. A Holman mom knows that all too well, and she is paying it forward with her Adulting is Stupid baskets. News 8 Now's Emily Haugen explains what sparked this mom's decision to help out.
A simple act of kindness can go a long way. Heather Silvers knows that well.
A couple years ago, I was pregnant with my second son. I just moved into this apartment that I'm in now.
I didn't have a lot of anything, really.
When Heather needed kindness more than anything, her family stepped in.
My brother and his now fiance asked me what they could get me for Christmas. They went way overboard, got me huge boxes of like bulk toilet paper, paper towel, laundry soap, dishwasher, detergent. It really made a huge impact on me at that time.
A huge impact.
The financial stress was kind of lifted by him gifting that to me.
That impact is something that Heather wanted to share. So she did.
I'm starting to think that maybe these baskets aren't going to be big enough. I think there was like 80 people that reached out, and I just, like, my heart broke because I'm like, all these people need this.
Paying it forward with baskets of essentials.
I think only an adult could really appreciate the simplicity of toilet paper and, you know, paper towels.
Packed with love.
This just makes me so happy, like seeing all these getting filled up.
Today, she's passing it on to more adults who, like her, could benefit from a little help and a lot of kindness. In Holman, Emily Haugen, News 8 Now.
Right now, Heather can't help everyone, but she wants to help more people. She's taking donations of any kind. You can reach out to her on Facebook. We have a link posted at news8000.com.
Well, we are still watching some scattered showers and thunderstorms across our northern zones this morning, mainly across northern Dunn County as well as northern Chippewa here as well. And you can see those showers are containing some heavy downpours as well as some lightning activity. So there is some embedded thunderstorm activity associated with those showers there as well. But meanwhile, the rest of us, though, are just looking mainly cloudy, and you can see that here on the satellite picture as well, as most of the activity here is mainly off to the north associated with that line of showers and storms that we talked about there just now. 53 degrees, the temperature currently in Sparta. It's a little cooler though in Volkfield. You're currently at 50, 54 in Black River Falls, but it's a little cooler in Eau Claire. You're currently at 48 degrees. For today, 67 and cloudy, but overall a much warmer day. Southeast winds a bit breezy at 15 to 25 miles an hour. But for tonight, we're 63, pretty mild here as well, under mostly cloudy skies, and a few showers also possible too, with south winds at around 10 to 20 miles an hour still. For your drivecast this morning, things will remain pretty cloudy out there, and then mostly cloudy weather conditions for the lunch hour, and it looks like this evening will continue to remain on the cloudy side. But stay tuned, I'll have a final check on the full weather forecast in just a bit. Jordan?
All right, thanks a lot for that update, Derek. A much-loved leading man from the 90s and 2000s is returning to the big screen in what critics are lauding as his comeback role. We'll tell you who it is and what the role is coming up after the break. It's 20 to the top of the hour here on News 8 Now this morning. We'll be right back right after this.
Pretty cloudy start here this morning, as you can see there, live from City Cam 8. Current conditions in La Crosse not only are cloudy, but pretty mild, 54 degrees. And that's really thanks to a south wind at 13 miles an hour. Our river stage is at 5.36 feet. A little bit of some wet roads here currently in Eau Claire. That's thanks to some earlier showers that moved through. 48 degrees and cloudy now. East winds at around 3 miles an hour, so looking light there as far as our winds. 51 currently in Viroqua. It's 53, though, if you're in Sparta. Temperatures in Winona to the west at 55 degrees. And Volkfield, you're currently at 50. The warmer air is especially noticeable down to the south. Prairie du Chien, Bosquebel, between 20 to 25 degrees warmer. The rest of us anywhere between about 10 to 15 degrees warmer this morning. Hey, at least we'll take it though, right? 61 and mostly cloudy by noon today, and remaining cloudy 63 by 5 p.m. Now you may run into a couple of thunderstorms though this evening. Temperatures at around 66 degrees. We'll get to that in a second. Speaking of thunderstorms, that's exactly what's happening out to the north across northern Clark County, or not Clark County, but Dunn County, I should say, and also into Chippewa here as well. Bloomer, Eau Claire also had some showers and a few storms that rolled through. Most of the activity, though, as you can see, mainly off to the north, clearly noticeable there, while the rest of us are just looking at mainly cloudy skies. The reason being is because we're watching a trough of low pressure back to the west, and out ahead of it, not only are we looking at clouds and rain, but we're also looking at some very warm air, thanks to a nice strong south wind ahead of the system. But behind it, get ready, it's going to turn pretty cold across the upper Midwest as a cold front here is associated with that system. That's going to knock down these temperatures quite a bit. In fact, dropping them into the 30s Friday this weekend and also into early next week as that cold air begins to move through. Now, those showers should clear out across the area later this morning, and things remain mostly cloudy throughout much of the day with only a slight chance of a shower around here. As we head into this evening, more showers and a couple of thunderstorms could develop here across our south and central zones here this evening, and then really just continue through those overnight hours here kind of during that off and on fashion across the area. And then by tomorrow morning, a couple of scattered showers could develop, followed by more shower and thunderstorm activity as we head into the early evening and also continue through the nighttime hours as well. Mainly focused central and east here, at least from our in-house computer model. Severe weather risk does exist for tomorrow. The Storm Prediction Center has issued this level 2 enhanced risk that you see in yellow. That means that scattered strong to severe thunderstorms are possible during the afternoon and evening. Main threats are going to be gusty winds and hail, so we'll keep you updated here at News 8 for all the latest here as that system does evolve here across the Coulee region. All right, so we do have an alert day here for Thursday as well, so keep that in mind. As we head into Friday, it's going to be a lot colder and cloudier. Temperatures drop into the 30s, highs in the 30s through this weekend and also into much of next week under mainly cloudy skies, and low temperatures also into the 20s. Hey, if you like the 8-day forecast, don't forget you can take it anywhere with you go. It's free on the Google Play or the Apple App Store. You get the 8-day forecast as well as current weather conditions and, of course, alerts as well.
In our Buzz Report this morning, Brendan Fraser stars as Charlie, a 600-pound English teacher who plans to binge eat his way to death in The Whale. Along the way, he tries to reconnect with his teenaged daughter. The film, regarded as Fraser's comeback film, has received high accolades from the Venice, London, and Toronto film festivals. The Whale arrives in theaters on December 9th. Fortune Feimster is back with a new special, Fortune Feimster Good Fortune. The comedian's topics include tales about her family and her wedding in the midst of a pandemic. Fortune Feimster Good Fortune is now playing on Netflix. The musical comedy Spirited reimagines the classic Charles Dickens tale, A Christmas Carol, with Will Ferrell as the ghost of Christmas Present. This year, the ghost of Christmas Present picks the wrong Scrooge, played by Ryan Reynolds, who turns the tables. The stars walked the red carpet ahead of Friday's release of the film in theaters. We have got a birthday to celebrate this morning. Unfortunately, with the technical issues we've been having, we can't show the photo, but we did get it right the first hour, so we'll show that photo online at news8000.com.
Yeah, so we apologize for that. Never fails, though, right, Jordan?
Live television.
But still, we want to wish a happy 8th birthday to Talon. Talon's favorite thing is donuts, and he wants to be a YouTuber when he grows up, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, not so far-fetched, too. You'd be amazed what you can do on the internet. If you know a special someone turning 8 months, 8 years, 18, 80 years old, or 88 years old soon, make sure you let us know.
Yeah, just upload their photo to our website. It's news8000.com. And you want to look for the Submit Pictures button under the Home tab on our website.
Well, we hope you can stay with us. We've got everything you need to know this morning in 5 minutes or less, along with your latest forecast. Coming up next.
I will work with anybody on the other side who's willing to put the betterment of the district, the state of Wisconsin, and the United States of America above their own personal political wants and needs.
That is the man who will represent Wisconsin's 3rd Congressional District. Republican Derek Van Orden will head to Washington. Van Orden lost this race 2 years ago to now outgoing Representative Ron Kine, but this time defeats Kine's endorsed candidate, Brad Pfaff.
I'm so grateful for you for the grace and kindness and compassion you've shown me. Frankly, tonight, this victory isn't really about me at all. It's about each of you.
Projected winner, Democrat Tony Evers, has won a 2nd term as Wisconsin's governor, defeating Republican challenger Tim Michels in Tuesday night's election. In lacrosse, voters rejected the nearly $195 million school referendum. Nearly 70% of voters voted against the district's plan to consolidate the city's 2 high schools into one new building on lacrosse's far south side. Later this morning, Superintendent Aaron Engel will hold a press conference to discuss the results and what's next. We'll have coverage of that coming up later on this afternoon.
People said, gee, you know, all those attack ads against you, maybe you need to respond in kind, and I said, I'm not going to do that. And I appreciate the fact that the voters liked that approach.
For Wisconsin State Assembly, incumbent Democrat Steve Doyle won re-election into the 94th district. Doyle defeated Republican challenger Ryan Hipsch with a little more than 51% of the vote.
Those topics all revolve around law enforcement, right? How can we be a solution to a problem that sometimes we don't even know what it is? So this was an opportunity for me to continue to champion their rights.
You heard from the new sheriff of La Crosse County. This sheriff's race was one of the only races to have zero attack ads here in La Crosse County. Projected winner John Siegel says it was important for him and Republican Fritz Leinfelter to be respectful. Despite being a partisan race, Siegel says being sheriff is not a partisan job.
Over the past few months, many of you have talked to neighbors, you've got out and you've done the work, and you've talked about what matters to us as Minnesotans. You talked about the idea that we use and say, one Minnesota. It means everyone is valued. Everyone matters.
Just across the river in Minnesota, incumbent Democrat Governor Tim Walz, who you just heard from, has been re-elected as the governor of Minnesota. On Tuesday, Walz defeated Republican challenger and family physician Scott Jensen. Staying in Minnesota, a man in Winona County is alive today thanks to the quick thinking of a driver. First responders say Tuesday morning a man fell out of his kayak and struggled to get back in. What you're seeing is that video of first responders who rescued him. The Winona County Sheriff says rescuers got to the man just in time thanks to that driver who saw something splashing in the water. He did the right thing by calling 911.
I went up to Dresbach, turned around, came back, got my binoculars out, and there wasn't anybody in the kayak, but it seemed to be holding on to the edge.
The man who made that call is Hunter Young. Now, the sheriff did not release the kayaker's name or condition, so stay tuned to News 8 Now as we update that story when we get that information.
And things are going to be staying mainly cloudy here pretty much throughout the day. So it's not just this morning. Temperatures in the 50s now through much of the morning before warming up into the 60s by the afternoon. Highs reaching the upper 60s late this afternoon while still remaining cloudy. And overall, very much so warmer here today, Jordan.
And we still have more results for the election to come in here, especially with Wisconsin's Senate race between Republican Ron Johnson and Democrat Mandela Barnes. About 99% of precincts reporting Johnson still with a lead there, but when we get that race called, we'll be sure to update that on news8000.com, as well as other races as well. CBS Morning takes a look at the nation following the midterms, so stay tuned for that. Thank you so much for your time, and have a great day.